Hi everyone, I'm the plant propagator and welcome to my channel. Today it's a sad day because I'm leaving these guys behind tomorrow. So it is hurricane season. I've stayed through the hurricanes, prefer not to do that. So I'm out of here, and there actually is a storm coming up. So rather than stay here and deal with the heat and the hurricanes, I'm out of here for a little while. So I'm sad to leave these behind, but the weather where I'm going, the Midwest, is just much cooler and much nicer. Get to see the family, so there are certainly good things about it. Also, just so you know, I am giving talks to a couple of different orchid societies, local orchid societies in the Midwest close to where I live, and I'll try to bring some of those to you to show you the plants that they bring in to their meetings. So I'm excited about that, but what might happen, and just to prepare you, is there may be a little bit of a break from videos, and I'll do what I can. I'll come up with some things the best way that I can. But just so you can prepare, you might not be seeing the numbers of videos that I usually put together because I'm not going to be around these guys. Okay, so that's one sad thing, and the other sad thing is it depends. It might come back to this, which we'll take a look at the end, this Cattleya right here. These are all, they're all repeat bloomers. And they're blooming really nicely for me right now, and each of them has stories associated with them. And they're all really different. So I'm going to start right here and then kind of go through and end up with this big Cattleya. So this is, if you can see it right here, this is Brsdm Kenneth Bivin. And I got this, I think, about a year and a half ago. This thing blooms. I took a look at my records, and this thing is blooming every 3 months. It's doing well. I'm not really good at growing the Oncidium type orchids, but this one is doing well for me. I'm not exactly sure why. But it is, right now it has, you can see right here, it has this nice open blooms, and I think all of the blooms are open on the spike. The blooms themselves are really nice. They're large, spidery, spotted. No fragrance that I've been able to get from this, but it really is a nice bloom on this plant. In addition to this bloom spike here, there's another bloom spike, a taller bloom spike right here that has a few more flowers on it. And this will probably be open in probably not very long, probably just in a few days right here. In addition to that second bloom spike, there is a third bloom spike, smaller, right here. And all these are coming out of the same pseudobulb. So there's this plant is doing really well. I've got it in a big pot just with bark, but it's growing really nicely and it's doing pretty well. There would be a fourth spike on this, and there is a fourth one over in a different bulb right here. But what happened is this plant actually lives right here on this table. And behind me and above me, I have my Christmas palms, and this was attacked by a Christmas palm. So one of the fronds, one of the leaves that fell out of this tree, knocked one of the spikes off completely. It probably would have been blooming about the same time as this one, but there's nothing, I mean, it just cracked it off completely. So I came out one morning, this was down on the table, and the spike was cracked off. So that was disappointing, but then, you know, look what it's doing. It's doing really well. This is a nice vigorous plant. I should mention that I got this, like I said, about a year and a half ago at Sundance Orchids and Bromeliads in Fort Myers. And I went there this past week, and they still had these in stock. I think you can get them at least there, but you should be able to pick it. It's a pretty common orchid from what I've seen. You should be able to get it from any other large orchid grower. But in addition to this new pseudobulb that's putting out all these flower spikes, there's another pseudobulb coming out here, and I think there's another one over on this side coming out as well. The plant itself isn't growing that quickly. It's not filled the pot, but it does put out a lot of canes, puts out a lot of flower spikes on the pseudobulbs as they grow out. So this plant is doing really well, and I'm overall very happy with it. The only thing that I would like on it is fragrance. So sometimes the Oncidiums can get some fragrance. This has nothing. But it makes up for it because of how vigorous the plant is and how really nice and special the blooms are. All right, so this is Brsdm Kenneth Bivin. Moving on to this one right here, and when I pointed over here, you might not even have seen this orchid on the table here, but it's this one right here. And this is Brassavola. So it is Brassavola Myakka Stars. So it is a primary hybrid between two Brassavola species. It was generated by Jim Roberts, and it was given to me by another Jim who I don't think liked this plant. So thanks to both Jims, one for making the cross and the other one for gifting me this plant. I've had this for 2 years. And this thing just blooms all the time. It blooms a lot. It's kind of a ratty little plant. It's got the flowers themselves are probably about 2 inches, so about 5 centimeters. They're really small. Not really anything. They're star-shaped. Nothing really special about it. But the plant itself is a really good, vigorous plant, and it's always blooming for me. So it's a nice plant, and I do like it. I tend to like the plants. I mean, vigor. There's a lot to say about vigor, and especially vigor on this plant. I've tried growing some other Brassavolas unsuccessfully. This one, for some reason, and this is just in leca and lavastone, like most of my Cattleyas. This just is doing well, and it seems to bloom a lot. The other thing about this that I think is just great is it's a really good parent. And what I do and what I've done is I've crossed some really big Cattleyas like this, not this, but like this, onto this little tiny Myakka Stars. And I've done this a couple of times, and those crosses have been successful. And so why do I do this? Well, I'm not crazy about the flower. The flower's okay, but it's so vigorous. This thing grows nicely. It blooms constantly. And, even though this thing has bloomed maybe every 6 months, but I just harvested a flower spike, a capsule from this not that long ago, and got even more progeny out of it. So what am I doing? Well, like I said, I'm crossing these big Cattleyas onto this tiny little Brassavola. And these are some of the progeny plants right here. And so, I mean, the interesting thing that I'm seeing with these progeny plants, and again, this is the mom, and these are the babies right here. And the babies are almost as big as the mom right now, and these were deflasked probably around, I would guess, 5 months ago, not very long ago. And talk about vigorous hybrids right here. Oh my gosh, there's new pseudobulbs growing out of this one. This is a new pseudobulb that's growing out of this. And again, this, you expect it. This leaf right here is almost as large. It's certainly larger than most of the leaves on this plant right here, but this is going to be a really nice hybrid. And I've named this is a fun name, so I named this Rudy Tooty, because it's starting out small, but I think it's going to end up being a really nice, vigorous Brassavola hybrid. All right, so I'm really excited that this is blooming again, and then I'm excited that, that I'm generating these hybrids from this. Now, what I'm going to do, this flower's been open for a couple of days. This flower just opened today right here. Yes, I'm going to put a big, floofy, flared, fragrant Cattleya. I'm going to cross that on to this. That's what I've done each time. I've done this twice, and each time I've done this, I've got little tiny capsules to form. Very few seeds, viable seeds, but I get plants, and I'm getting really vigorous plants, it seems. So I'm just excited to use this Myakka Stars as a parent. Okay, so moving on just a little bit over here. This is a nice Dendrobium. It's a Dendrobium species, and this is Dendrobium bigibbum. And I called this last time I made a video on this, which was about a year ago. So this plant is a year old. I got this from Sundance Orchid and Bromeliads in Fort Myers. And I got this a year ago. It was blooming, and it is blooming again. So this seems to bloom this time. There was only one bloom spike on it before. Now there are two. You know, a nice small bloom on this, but it's a species, and you find bigibbum in a lot of the Dendrobiums that are out there. So this species, the background here, is in a lot of the dens that are out there. I got this because it is a species, and I'm using it in my crosses. You know, it's not a real vigorous plant that I've seen right now, but I'm still learning how to grow this. Like I say, only had it for a year. It just has a couple of canes on this, and this last cane, you know, it's still pretty small, but it's bigger than the previous one was. So what I'm going to do is use this to try to shorten the stature. It's a nice flower, nothing special about it, but I'm going to use this, and I'm hybridizing this with some of my really tall dens to try to shorten the stature of the progeny. So I think there's a reason for trying this. I like the bloom, it's okay, but I'm more interested in using this species for some of my crosses. All right, so Dendrobium bigibbum right here. I should also say, as I move forward to these, is as you've looked at the close-ups of these flowers that I've shared with you, you may have noticed that there's some, some yellowish or white powder that seems to be on the flowers and on the leaves of these plants. And so because I'm leaving, I thought I would give these guys one final spray of everything. So I hit them yesterday with insecticide and fungicide before I leave them on their own for hurricane season. So, and what I was dealing with, what I saw at the very minimum, this time of year during the rainy season, there's always problems with fungi, and I have problems here, really bad problems with black rot on Cattleya type orchids. So I use specific fungicide that's going to control black rot. The other thing that I noticed that I had, 2 days ago, I had really bad thrips, and thrips they're my nemesis. They get in the flowers. They're all over the plant, certainly, but I notice them when they get in the flower. And what they do is they like to hide in between petals and sepals. They like getting into tight spots, and they're just a nuisance. So they can really disfigure the flower bud. They can cause the flower bud to blast early. They can do a lot of things. I had a vanda, a yellow vanda, where you look in every flower and you look deep down in the throat of the flower, and I could see thrips because it's a yellow flower. The thrips are black, and you can see, I could see thrips in almost every flower, and it was really disappointing. I'm bringing this up now because this plant, this has hopefully had, but maybe it has an issue. So this plant, as we move on to this Cattleya, this is Cattleya Mackie's Flare, and the cultivar is Elegance. This is a plant that I've had for 2 years. It bloomed last year about the same time. I had some really nice flowers on it. I bought this at RF Orchids in Homestead, Florida. This year I was really excited. I had another pseudobulb growing out, and I had 3 big flower buds that were coming out of the pseudobulb. And pretty early on, one of the flower buds blasted. It turned yellow and fell off. A few days ago, the second one, same thing. It was big. You could start seeing the the petals and the lip. The frilliness you could start seeing as the flower bud was starting to open, but it clearly was a lighter color, and it was yellowing, and it fell off, I think, yesterday. And today this guy opened, and I'm disappointed. It's a beautiful flower. So let me show you here the image that I have of the previous flower. So it's a really nice, and it's called Mackie's Flare, so it's a really nice flared Cattleya that has some really nice colors and nice touches of colors in the petals and the lip. The sepals are all, I think they all tend to be one color. This flower is a little bit of a disappointment, and I don't know, I'm hoping, and this is bad to say, I'm hoping it's thrips, because what I'm hoping it's not is viruses. There's some really weird mottling that you can see in the petals of this plant. The lip all still looks good, but the petals and actually the sepals also, there's some weird coloring that's going on, almost like blistering. So I don't know what's going on with this flower. But the plant itself, last time it bloomed, it was really nice. The problem is this plant is right next to another plant in my collection. This lives in the pergola, and that other plant is a real slow grower, hasn't bloomed for me in years. And what I'm afraid of is that other plant's virused, and then it's close enough to this so that there may have been some inappropriate touching going on, so that this might have been virus infected as well. So what I'm going to do is take a sample from this plant, and from that plant, and from one more that I suspect may have an issue, and I'm going to run a virus test on it. I'm not going to share the virus test itself because I've shared that with you in the past. Sometimes when you do virus testing, because the kits themselves cost, they cost a lot per test. Sometimes you put a lot of different leaves from different plants, and if you pool them, and if that group is positive, then you have to figure out which one is positive. I'm not quite ready to do that because I want to test this one and a couple more, and I have enough test kits, so I'm going to do that. But we'll see what happens. There's no typical symptoms in the leaves. So in the leaves, you tend to see mottling. Most people associate color break with virus infection in the flowers. This is just kind of a weird thing. And again, what I'm hoping is that the thrips got into the closed bud and did a little damage and caused some unusual things to happen. There are other things that can cause the buds to blast. It could be nutrient, either too much or too little nutrient. It's not too little because I fertilize these guys once a week. They also have time-release fertilizer that I put in the mix. And insects, it could also be any other pathogen. It could be, bacterial or fungal, even though I do spray fungicide on this plant. They're different. Fungicides are active against different fungi. And so I may not have the right one under control. Anyway, I'm hoping that it was the thrips, and let me do a test. And I'll get back with you in about, I think probably in about 15 minutes and let you know how that test came out. Okay, and we're back. And Yes, it is a triple bad day, or quadruple, or whatever we're up to. So I had, it's a bad day because I'm going, but I tested the Mackie's Flare that I showed you, and I showed you the close-up of the flowers. That was positive, and so that was positive for one of the 2 viruses that my virus test kit can test for. I tested another plant that was close to it, that was kind of touching it in my pergola, and also positive. But the interesting thing is it came up positive, and that's Haruko Kansaki. And I've had that for a long time. It hasn't bloomed in a long time. It's been a real slow grower. But that also tested positive, but for the other virus that the test kit tests for. I then tested, I have a plant right here that's got a bloom on it coming out. But it had 3 blooms on it, and 2 of them fell off. One of the leaves here is very suspect. So it has a lot of black mottling on the leaf, and that is STK Jewel. And it's an older leaf. This is a plant that I got from, what's the company? Kanjaran Greens. So this is a Thai company that came to the Tamiami Orchid Festival a few years ago. And I picked up this plant. The leaves, I've always been kind of suspect, but it blasted, so the flowers blasted on it. It had some weird coloration in the flower, and I didn't think anything of it until I thought, okay, I saw this on the leaf, so I better test that also. So that also tested positive for the same virus that Mackie's Flare tested positive for. So I think when I get back, I'm going to have to pay a much closer attention to the virus, to my plants, and kind of how the leaves look, and how the flower, what the flowers look like, and things like that. Because I'm going to toss 3 plants. I got no choice. I got to get rid of them. The only upside to any of this is that I have now room for 3 more plants, which is sad. You know, I should say that the Haruko Kansaki, that was a Home Depot purchase. I've had it for a long time. It hasn't bloomed in years and years and years, so I don't know when that got infected. I think this one, the STK Jewel, I think I got it infected. Mackie's Flare, I think it picked it up from some of the other ones that were close to it. So anyway, wow, not a good virus test day. I am glad that I didn't pool these, because separately, they all tested positive for viruses, and 2 different viruses that the test allows me to test for. But these plants are gone, and I'm going to have to be careful. And I'm careful. I'm flaming. Before I took the samples, I am flaming. So I'm normally really careful with my plants, but I guess they're close enough together that maybe the touching is enough, but usually it takes a little bit more in order to get transfer the viruses. So not good. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Plants, flowers that I'm sharing with you. One of those flowers was clearly infected with a virus. I know now a little bit more what to look for with these plants as far as virus infections go. All right, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did and you want to keep on seeing them, it would help me out if you can click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. All right, that's all I have for you. Again, I hope you enjoyed it, and happy propagating.